Are you ready, Steve? Are you ready, T-Rex? It's not only a Friday, it's also the first day of spring. Let's go outside and enjoy the beautiful spring weather. Here in New England, it's 24 degrees on March 1st at 8 o'clock in the morning. That's kind of cold. One of the colder mornings of the entire winter. Oh, it's not winter anymore. Now, it's winter on the calendar, but climatologically and meteorologically speaking, it's springtime until the equinox. So the ice bucket, solid ice again. So we only had one day with no ice so far in this, what I called a warm wave. It's a pretty cold intrusion into a warm wave. Practically negated the warmth of the last couple days. At least the wind has gone light this morning. There's a 1034 high coming in. It's an incredibly cold high pressure system. How cold is it? On Mount Washington this morning at about 3 a.m., 17 degrees below zero. The coldest air of the entire winter happened 3 hours into March 1st, the first day of spring. The real coldest air of the entire winter, just before midnight last night, was 15 below. Previous to all of this, the lowest reading was 13 below, happened several times this month. Last month, sorry. It's now March, right? So it's the coldest weather so far this spring, including Linda and Princeton. Not amused with 12 degrees above zero this morning in central Massachusetts, in the middle of a warm wave, which is what I called it. Now, there are some complications with this warm wave. First of all, what is that right there? That is a cirrus cloud, Tim. That is the leading edge of the return of the warmth. Whenever you get these strong high-pressure systems, you got to watch to the backside. First of all, let's look at that low that went by. Still up there, spinning around in the mid-960s, but it hasn't really moved, and it sent another cold front down through us last night. So the cold front from 2 days ago is way offshore, and then another cold front came down last night. The first one caused a wind gust to 147 on Mount Washington. Last night's only caused a gust to 127. Wind is air moving from that very cold high into that low, but obviously, it's not a wind from the southwest because the air spins because the Earth is spinning. Anyhow, so now we look to the backside of the high, and let's go to the radar. There are thunderstorms this morning in the Gulf of Mexico, in Louisiana, and in Mississippi and Alabama. So that's an energized little system. Now, it had been forecast to kind of come up on the backside of the high and perhaps meander and take its time and not get in here until Monday or Tuesday. And that's completely changing, as is next week's forecast. But let's start with the immediate future. So now that system is forecast to hold together. Here it is tomorrow, coming up the mid-Atlantic. And you see that it's cold enough for a little bit of a wintry mix across parts of Vermont, New York. So that's a lot further north than we thought a few days ago. And that low now looks like it wants to kind of take off on Sunday into Monday, whereas just yesterday it looked like that low wanted to linger into Monday. So that's a first big change. It looks like we may be a little bit more damp tomorrow than Sunday in parts of New England, especially western and northern New England. But I think in eastern New England, it's still probably going to stay pretty gray and pretty chilly for some time, because there's now another low that's trying to form on this sort of stalled front that's just south of us, coming back as a warm front. And we may have another low going by eastern New England here on Tuesday. All right. Now, I got to slow it way down for the lower 48. First of all, let's now rewind a bit and go to the west coast. Even though here on the east coast, it looks like a pretty day. It almost looks like March is coming in like a lamb, but it's a lamb in lion's clothes. And the lion is in the details of that strong storm in northern Canada we just talked about, and the series of storms coming into the west coast. The most severe winter storm of a winter of severe storms is happening right now in the eastern Pacific Ocean into the west coast of the United States. Now, there's a little bit of a lull happening today, but that whole western flow, trough in the west, ridging trying to form in the east, that whole mess in the west is going to sort of slow down and only ease out in pieces. One major piece, put it back in motion here, is running up into central Canada. Now this is Tuesday. And then we go into Wednesday. I got to stop it right here. Remember a few days ago, it looked like we were going to have another front this Wednesday that looked like the one we just had a couple days ago. And then I said, oh, what happened to it? It's gone. Well, that front really is out there with that 1,008 millibar low near Saskatchewan down to about a 9 something in Colorado. That's the front that was supposed to be here on Wednesday. And it's still way out there over the northern plains. However, here in the east, there's another front coming down from the north, completely different than how it looked a few days ago, with a strong high pressure system coming into southeastern Canada and another storm coming out of the Gulf of Mexico and up the mid-Atlantic states. And so even though that front that we were supposed to get on Wednesday night and Thursday isn't coming through here for a while, we're getting cold air way ahead of it coming down from southeastern Canada. We mentioned a bunch of times that there was plenty of cold in Canada and there's no way that winter was just going to stop. Anyhow, you want to get to the punchline? Oh, look at that. Beautiful condensation trail. The first sign of the next advance of moisture is when the planes go by and make that cloud. It's a sign of upper level moisture. And we've almost got some cirrocumulus. Cirrocumulus, that's instability way up at the top of the atmosphere, and that often happens way out ahead of powerful systems. So what we're going to do here, based on our observations, is we're going to take the over on precipitation and we're going to take the under on the temperature forecasts for the next 5 to 10 days. All right, see those waves right there? So that's all, super cooled water vapor. And it's a little higher up than, so it's 2 different layers of advection and 2 different dynamics. It's more of a cumulus and that's more of a cirrus. Anyhow, oh, and then there's a shadow being cast by the condensation trail on that lower level of higher altocumulus. And we've got a barking dog. Could we stop with the barking, T-Rex? All right. Well, we're here. Let's look over at that skiff that we talked about that sank so long ago. It's low tide right now. It's corkscrewed around its mooring chain. I can't wait to see if they actually harvest that boat. All right, let's get to the punchline, TK. It looks like we're going to have a storm coming in here on Wednesday night into Thursday, and it's cold enough for snow in the north and cold rain in the south. And I'm buying it. I mean, it kind of makes sense. And it's been a tendency in the guidance over the last couple of days for this to happen. And then we're kind of left in no man's land with more chilly air left around here next Friday into Saturday before another system comes out of the southeastern United States and another potential cold rain south, snow north is here next Saturday, Sunday. For the love of distracting the viewers, T-Rex, please stop. Meanwhile, Steve is taking off. 2 nor'easters are possible. One Thursday and one next weekend. And I've also lost Steve. I am in so much trouble. Come down here. There's still some snow on the ground from yesterday. And I didn't empty the ice bucket. Oh my goodness, I am in so much trouble. Now, where's Steve? Oh boy. All right, time out. See him? I am in so much trouble. Stop. Stay. It's knotweed. Why do I do this? Because it's fun, right? It's fun. Everyone enjoys this. Nobody else does the weather like this. Bad cat. Pretty. In conclusion, winter is hardly over. It's coming in like a lion, even though it looks so quiet right here. We're just in a little lull. The winter of severe storms continues into spring. This is the first day of meteorological springtime, and it's as cold as any weather we've had all winter. And there are a series of storms lined up, and what looked like a really warm snow-free period is changing. I am getting in the car and driving north. And I'm going to do the next out the doors, hopefully from the side of a ski resort, where hopefully Sunday afternoon, while it stays gray and cold in Boston, it's going to warm up for Hope on the Slopes at J Peak Resort. And also we have Roy Tuscany in his high fives at Sugar Bush this weekend. There's a Ski the East event in Burlington, Vermont this evening. I think I should crash it. They kind of ghosted me a couple years ago, just as this one just tried to ghost me just now. All right, and more. Yesterday, finger freezing cold, but a pretty sky and pretty water, pretty rough water. And there's going to be a lot of rough waters ahead, and we're going to be here to call the play-by-play from one place or another. All right, Steve, we're going back up the hill. That's a lot of work coming up those stairs. Steve wrestling with me the whole time. Wanted to add one more thing. Andrew Perrin. He went to Mount Hood, Oregon. He's getting the goods on the West Coast. Thank you, Andrew. Okay, here's some and more and more and more.
Well, I'm gonna try and ski the pockets in the east face. I don't know. Another fully unlucky storm for us. It snowed hard as hell, never really added up to much. Everything flash froze, I don't know, 3-4 inches, but it's blown all over the place. Went from 61 to 2 degrees at my house. Well, let's see what this turd ski's like. Pretty shitty. Pretty shitty.
Passing 2:30, and we still have a little bit of snow on the ground on this very last day of meteorological winter. 23, 24, flaky clouds over Boston all day, but none of them reach the ground because the air is just too dry at the bottom. Well, it comes once every 4 years. Take advantage of it. Sunshine, a blue sky, and flaky clouds, and big waves on the bay. February 29, 2024. Finger freezing cold and pretty. Can you hear me now? It's all waves. Not sure, but I think those are the tulips. They might be daffodils. They don't mind. They're hardy. And hyacinth. All right. Is that good for and more today? More and more and more. The sky's turning blue. No melting today. Just freezing. These clouds likely evaporating with the setting sun. There it is, sunset back on the deck. The last minutes of meteorological winter time. Here south of Boston. Bring me powder or bring me sunshine from here on in. Headed north.